Yo, everybody. Welcome back to the Cruise Dynasty podcast. We're back at it again. I'm going to do my best Matt impersonation tonight because he's not here. But hopefully, he'll be here later. Ian, what's going on, man? What you been up to? You ready for some football?
Man, I cannot wait. We got like a high end of 40-something days left. And I'm super excited. I've been mock drafting like a fiend. Can't get my kick, can't get my rocks off either way. We on this thing tonight, mock draft episode. Wish Matt was here, but we're gonna hold it down. Me and my cousin always going hard.
Dude, the man might just show up randomly. He's off playing basketball, getting his ass kicked, getting owned in the post as usual. But hopefully he'll show up. But tonight we're gonna get into some redraft stuff. We've been hitting the dynasty pretty hard and the best ball and all that stuff. If you listen to our previous episodes, go back if you hadn't, and we gave y'all some ADPs that we like in best ball and all that good stuff. So tonight we're gonna do our first redraft mock. Ian, you said you've been getting after it, but right before we start, just got to say to everybody, 5-star review. Appreciate everybody for listening, and we're gonna try to give y'all some good shit tonight. So and bring the energy.
Without further ado,
all right. So this is what we're doing. We're doing the mock draft on Sleeper. Computer's gonna be picking, auto picking their spots, and Ian, you're sitting at the 5 spot, and I'm sitting at the 10 spot. Before we get going, what do you think about that spot? And is there a certain strategy that you'd like to take before we get going?
Yeah. Let's definitely talk about both spots and kind of what we're looking at going in before we even click the button, man. So I chose this 5 spot. I think I had first choice or second choice one. But
yeah,
I honestly think, and I chose first pick in my other league, but I chose this 5th spot mainly because I feel like at that spot, you can get, if you got people in your league that have preferred players instead of grabbing, who really is the best guy. Either way, sometimes you can catch like a Tyreek Hill or something like that down there, Justin Jefferson or somebody that shouldn't be. But at the same time, you still get one of those premier guys. And going at that 5th spot, because at the 1 spot, you really want to take, McCaffrey. Either way, I think you can go quarterback or running back, wide receiver or running back there. And I'm kind of up to debate where I want to go. I really have mostly been going with a wide receiver off the rip, almost doing like a hero wide receiver type draft where I get Tyreek Hill or JJ, and then I get 3 or 4 running backs in a row. Because I feel like there's receivers down the line in the 5th round, 6th round that are way better than the running backs you get there. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff going on. So, but at this spot, there's a couple debates I have whether to get like Brees or go with a receiver, Brees or Bijan. So we'll see. There's a bunch of different ways you could take it at this point, and it's kind of whatever floats your boat, and kind of comes down to who went before you. But it's enough to see where the draft might start going. If a bunch of running backs come off, grab a running back. If nothing but receivers, you might want to grab one of those. So, what about you? How you feel about that 10 spot, man? Why did you choose that, or was that just pretty much all that was left?
Well, I had like the last choice pretty much because just where I finished last year, I didn't get to choose so soon, and it was kind of like either 10 or 12 is like the only options I had. So I decided just to go with 10, and I'm drafting at the number 2 spot in another league, so I kind of get best of both worlds. So,
Yep.
I mean, we'll see where it goes. I've done a couple mocks, but I've tried a couple different strategies. But I'm gonna try to do my best tonight to draft exactly how I would if we were really doing a redraft league tonight, and not kind of experiment with stuff that I normally wouldn't do, like draft a QB in the second round to see how it looks. Like I'm probably gonna stick to the strategies that I usually do in
Yeah,
redraft. So,
dead nuts on the guy that you want to get, because I do that too when I'm doing mock drafts. I kind of go get different people and look at the teams and see what I could put together. But there's also those people that you want and you can't live without. So, and I've done a bunch of mock drafts, and I'm glad we're doing one together, because when we're talking on the phone or whatever in our personal lives, a lot of times I don't think about it, but in the mid draft, there's I'd like to have that camaraderie, that back and forth about a couple picks, that stuff that fell. So this should be fun, and we can clean up some stuff and figure out how you feel about figure out where we differ on who we think we should take early on and not. And there's a big question in these running backs early on, dude. I gotta, especially in that second round running backs. That throws me for a loop. Who to get right there. So let's get this thing going, and let's see what we get.
all right, man, let's roll with it. So we're gonna start this thing up. Getting started off, McCaffrey number 1, CD, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. You're sitting there, and I already know where you're going. Your pick is pretty easy right here, and
It is.
you
So
can go ahead and talk about it.
yeah. So this is what I was talking about. So right here, I could choose wide receiver. I could choose running back. So taking Tyreek Hill right here. So 2 wide receivers that are there available: Tyreek Hill, St. Brown, or Bijan or Hall. And me, I'm a running back guy. I value running backs, but right here, because I value running backs so much, one of the main reasons I picked this spot is because I can get a very valuable receiver. Because most of the teams that I have here, because I've been in the last at least 2 years, I think I've taken a mid round pick, like a 6 or a 7 or an 8, kind of back of the middle, because you really get a chance to see how the draft is going. Plus, I like running backs, and that's where usually you
Yeah,
start picking your best running backs other than numero uno. So right here in the 5th spot is more of, go ahead and get a wide receiver that's really
you get that
good.
tier. Yeah,
You get that top tier receiver, and then I could just load running back. So I think that is what I'm going to do. I'd like to grab Bijan or something, but uh, unless I think this is it. I don't think I would grab Amon Ra here.
if
If
Tyreek's
it's
there, it's an easy selection. If it's
Tyreek
between
there, it's
Amon
an
Ra
easy
and
selection.
Jefferson, yeah, if it's between Amon
If
Ra and Jefferson, which one would you go then?
if it's between Amon Ra and Jefferson, I would take. I've, and so Jefferson is a hard pick.
Well,
Jefferson is
that's
a
a
hard pick,
decision you're going to have to make, because I don't think Tyreek's going to make it. So
and
I think
that's
you're going
and
to have
that's
to make that decision.
so. When it comes to Jefferson, I feel like he is one of those players that you want to say quarterback proof, and he is the walking goat, the active goat coming in, pretty much going to
Yeah,
be. And that being said, he deserves that spot, but it's so questionable whether or not his quarterback is going to be good, and that quarterback play determines almost completely how your season goes. But he is
yeah,
one of those receivers that can get open and make it easy for those quarterbacks. So do you take the for sure chemistry and maybe not the upside that JJ has, and you get, an Amon Ra or something like that? What do you think? Does JJ quarterback proof enough where it doesn't matter that he's got a rookie, or should you be worried and maybe maybe stray away from him, even though his talent is top of the league.
I mean, it's pretty easy for me. It's Amon Ra in that spot. I'm still high on Jefferson, but Amon Ra 1,500 yards last season, 10 touchdowns. Like, I just trust Detroit's offense and their quarterback play a little more. I know Jefferson is the best, but I would just
Same.
rather stick to the offense that I know is going to be really good. And I think Amon Ra is a little more. I don't think Jefferson's going to bust by any means, but Amon Ra is bust proof. He's like the most consistent player in fantasy football. So it would be Amon Ra for me, but it's pretty close. But after you went, it went the running backs that you were talking about. So Amon Ra went after you, and then Bijan, Brees, and Gibbs went, which is fine to me. I would have liked to see Gibbs fall, but my pick right here is pretty easy. I'm just going to go with a receiver that I think is going to be a beast again.
Yeah.
And we're going to roll. Well, actually, I said it's pretty easy, but there's a guy that I really want to take.
All right, so
in
let
the
me
second
tell the
round.
listeners. So we got Austin's looking at. He's talking receiver. We got AJ Brown, Puka, and Garrett Wilson are your top three. Marvin Harrison is in there too in the ADP. So if I know you, going off of kind of what you said, I mean, I want to say you're thinking Puka because of the sheer talent, but AJ Brown, I feel like it's between AJ and Puka for you. Yeah, but
It's
AJ
actually
Brown,
between AJ Brown and Garrett Wilson for me.
Garrett Wilson. Okay.
Yeah, I really like Garrett Wilson this year, just like I did last year. I was super high on him, but shit happens. Quarterback got hurt, but
Yeah.
I was listening to BDG the other day, and he was sitting there talking about Aaron Rodgers, and I mentioned him because I'm gonna steal the stat that they had. Aaron Rodgers in his career has had 5 receivers that have gotten over 140 targets with him at quarterback. Garrett Wilson had over 160 last year. The lowest finish of them receivers that receive over 140 targets from Aaron Rodgers have finished as the wide receiver 4 or better, with 2 wide receiver 1 finishes. So if Garrett Wilson gets over 140 targets from Aaron Rodgers, I think it's a slam dunk that he's going to be a top 5, top 6 fantasy receiver. And I thought the same thing last year, but that didn't happen. But I'll take the risk out of it with this first pick because I don't like having any risk in the first round. And it's just going to be A.J. Brown for me. But I love Garrett Wilson, and I would hope that he falls in the second. If I thought that he could fall, I would think about taking a running back and then getting Garrett Wilson in the second. But I think I'm most likely going to have another shot at a running back in the second round. But and another thing, while I'm talking about Garrett Wilson, I ain't going to talk this long on all my picks, but I wanted to mention Garrett Wilson again. I just want to ask you a question. What do you think conservatively Aaron Rodgers, like if you had to compare him to a quarterback in the league this year and just say he's not his old self, but he's still good, what kind of quarterback do you think he could be? Like comparing him to another player.
Another player, like another quarterback that I feel like his performance level this year will be equal or close to last year.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would say I think we're talking fantasy football points here. I think he could all day do the stuff that Jared Goff did. Brock Purdy type area. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He doesn't have the rushing upside, but I think top tier of the pocket passers all day is Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. And the reason
go ahead.
I was going to say the reason I say that is so you got Derek Carr down there who I think that's Aaron Rodgers at his worst. Say he's just not good anymore. Say he's Derek Carr. Chris Olave was still wide receiver 16 last year with Derek Carr at quarterback. So I think that could be like Garrett Wilson's absolute floor if Aaron Rodgers is as bad as Derek Carr. Because with the Jets, there's not much competition there. You got Mike Williams.
I don't see Aaron Rodgers ever being as bad as Derek Carr, for one. And for
Yeah,
two, the only thing I worry about with Aaron Rodgers or Garrett Wilson's production is whether or not they have shored up that offensive line. Because that
yeah.
is literally what killed them last year. So do you think they have? Do you think it's safe to go? Because if Garrett
See,
Wilson, I mean, and even with what's the quarterback that they had last year?
Trevor
Sam Darnold.
Simeon and Zach Wilson and all them.
Yeah, Zach Wilson. He still finished with 167 points. I mean,
167 targets. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
yeah, I mean it's I don't know. I mean,
How many receptions did he have out of them 167 targets? Because that's what I'm saying. You're getting targets from them compared to Aaron Rodgers, and I
he
just
had
think that,
95. He only had 95 out of the 168.
and I just like to compare him to like Chris Olave with the
Catchable.
Saints because I want to see the floor. Chris Olave had 138 targets last season, 11, 23, and 9 touchdowns was Olave. That's with Derek Carr. So I
I
just
want to
think
try to
if Garrett
find.
Wilson gets over 140 targets, I think he's locked in for top 10 wide receiver this season.
Yeah, dude, because I wonder what percentage of those targets were catchable balls, and I think Garrett Wilson is a great, like you said, if he comes to you in the second round, he's definitely got the talent, just like Justin Jefferson. They definitely got the talent. The only thing holding them back is whether or not quarterback's going to perform.
Garrett
And
Wilson caught 68. No, never mind. That's the wrong one. Yeah, targets 167. So, but I mean, we can get off of Garrett Wilson. I just wanted to mention that because I did go AJ Brown, just because, like I said, I'm not taking any risk in the first round, and I think Aaron Rodgers is a risk just health wise. And Tyrod Taylor being their backup, I'm not. If it was like Joe Flacco back there as their backup, I would probably be even higher on Garrett Wilson, knowing that if Rodgers goes down again. But AJ Brown's great. I'm going to take
yeah,
him. I'm not going to
yeah.
take any risk right here. And
Do you
then,
know? Well, honestly, that Philly offensive line, they lost Kelsey, but do you think it's still? I think they're going to be. I think their offense is secure. I think they got it figured
yeah,
out. And yeah, but even other than when just going back to Garrett Wilson for one more second, I think the main thing that killed him last year, he had 3 touchdowns. I mean, his yards per catch was 10.9, yards per touch was 6.2, and he had over 1,000 yards.
10.9
I
is
mean,
low too.
it's not that low. I mean, it's not elite, but at the same time,
Keenan
it's
Allen had more yards per catch than Garrett Wilson last season.
Keenan Allen was a boss last season, and he's somebody that we need. All right, let's get off this. Let's go. Let's keep going
All
because
right.
we need to get to Keenan. We need to get to people like that. All right. Who we got right here? So you got AJ Brown. Devontae just went. Saquon went before him. And who you going right here? What do you want? Receiver, running back,
Very,
quarterback?
I'm very surprised that Devontae Adams went this soon. I don't think that would happen normally. But right now, I'm looking between Kyron, the two Rams guys. So Puka fell and Kyron fell, and I'm gonna look at some. I'm gonna look and see what kind of running backs I'd probably be looking at when it comes back compared to some of the receivers. And I know that the third round is sweet spot for receivers because I've been that's a massive tier to me after Puka goes. So I think I'm gonna go Kyron Williams right here. So
That's a
starting
great
off
pick.
AJ Brown, Kyron. I'm not as low on Kyron as a lot of people are because they think Blake Corum's going to come in and steal the work, but I'm not one of them guys. I think Blake Corum's going to give him a breather more than anything.
Right.
Maybe he might steal some goal line, but not too much. Kyron's great. So back to you. After I went Kyron, Josh Allen went, Drake London, who I don't like, Marvin Harrison, and then Puka went way down here in the mid second. I don't think he's going to fall that far in your normal draft. But all right, you're up. What are you thinking?
Okay, well, just real quick, going back to that Kyron pick, that's something that I was talking to my cousin the other day. We referenced Big BDG, Big Dog Gotta Eat, Nick Arcolano. Shout out to you. You're a great guy. You put in a lot of work. But he did a video the other day and he did this thing where he figured out that he was trying to figure out which fantasy running backs could possibly eclipse 20 points per game. And if you average 20 points a game, you're an elite or close to it. And Kyron Williams finished with 19.8. So I think Kyron
Number
Williams,
2 in points per
I think,
game.
yeah, and I think 20 points per game. I mean, I think he's a very good candidate to blow your league up if you get him. And so that's definitely somebody I'm targeting. And a lot of times he'll fall to me at the second pick. But like I said, okay, so few receivers went. Me being like I am, I got my hero receiver. I got my guy gonna put up for sure points every week. So I want to start stacking these running backs because you definitely got to get another receiver in there because there's a chunk once you hit a certain part of these receivers at the bottom of the drafts in the, you know, 7th, 8th, 9, or like the 9, 10, 11, it starts getting pretty ugly. And there are some running backs down there that are still good. But when it comes to the second pick right here in the middle, I'm getting like Travis Etienne, Devon Achane, Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, Isaiah Pacheco. That's a tier in itself. And it's hard to deny Travis Etienne at this point. If he's there, it's hard not to pick him because he did finish the with 14.9 points a game. In the half PPR, he was number 3 running back. I mean, his team in rushing yards was ranked 24th, and rushing attempts was 17th, so kind of middle of the pack there. And I think his offensive line is the reason for
It's
that.
bad.
It was pretty bad. I mean, Devon Achane is there too. His average points was 16.1, but their offense was ranked first according to Sleeper. Offense first, rushing yards 6th, rushing attempts 15th, rushing touchdowns 2nd, and I mean it's a much better squad around him. But then you come down here to the GOAT Derrick Henry, and he's had top 15 finishes except for 2021. He got number 16. Top 15 finishes in half PPR with a running back that barely catches the ball. 13.9 points per game over a huge, that was just 2023 actually. But he's an amazing player. Their offense is ranked number 1 in rushing yards, number 1 in rushing attempts, 4th in rushing
Well, you know
touchdowns.
why.
And it's a lot to do with Lamar. And I do know why. But at the same time, Baltimore always utilizes a running back. I know, at least me for a fact, I want the Baltimore running back. I mean, J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards, we've been going through this cycle of which one's going to be healthy. And give me the guy that runs the ball in Baltimore. And if Derrick Henry goes up there and something happens to his lower body, if he gets a lower body injury, then it's confirmed that my conspiracy theory that Baltimore has doing something weird in their training facility. Yeah, everybody just tears. All the running backs tear something. If it happens to D. Henry, I'm gonna be very upset at Baltimore staff. Now we'll write a heated letter. So, getting back to it, when it comes down to it, and it's so hard for me. It's hard for me.
Let's talk. Let me talk you through it without the statistics for a minute. So you're between ETN, Henry, and Pacheco, probably, right? Or HN.
Well, I feel like I could get Pacheco next round. It's really ETN, Henry, ETN, HN, and Derrick Henry. And HN has that high ceiling, that upside, but he's got a bunch of people running behind him. ETN, I just know that team is not great, and Baltimore is a good team that wins games. And
Derrick Henry, I mean, if you look at his statistics in the past, when the Titans back in the when the Titans were winning games, Derrick Henry was going off. When he played in games where they lost, where they were playing from behind, his fantasy points dipped a lot. So, I mean, if you think Baltimore's going to be a winning team and be playing from ahead a lot, which they probably will, Derrick Henry is going to eat if he stays healthy. So, I mean,
but all that being said, I think right here, I think I'm gonna go Travis Etienne. I think I'm gonna go Etienne, like you said with the AJ Brown pick. Safer, he's younger, which in my mind is less chance of injury, but we don't think about that too much. And he's doing good. He's blowing up, and I think that's who I'm gonna go right here, and hopefully, and if D Henry comes around, but like you said, I mean Pacheco is right up there, top of the list. So honestly, I can get Derrick Henry
and
or
he did
Pacheco
make it
right
back.
here. So
Oh my God, we made that whole conversation, and they made it back anyway.
yeah, but a lot of times Derrick Henry will go right after ETN, and that it just goes back to what your league is picking. You know who's picking what where, and actually Josh Jacobs went before Derrick Henry and Pacheco, but yeah. So right here, I'm taking Pacheco over Henry in the third because I I really want Pacheco this year, and I think if I have Derrick Henry as my if I don't get ETN, I want Henry Pacheco, but whoever my second running back is, I really think I want to do Isaiah Pacheco. He's just on the best team in the NFL. He's a great runner. He gets the passing game, and he's a monster. So I think he's going to put up points. I wish he was going a little bit lower so I could get him for a steal, but everybody's done figured him out now. So
Yeah, everybody's on it. But I want to talk about a pick that went in the second round by the computer, but not just computers doing this. Sam Laporta at the 211.
oh yeah,
Um, I just don't like it. It's not the fact that it's just a tight end position. Like, I'm not saying that I don't like picking a tight end that early, which I kind of don't, but also I feel like there's a lot of tight ends this year that can put up very close to the same numbers he's going to, or even beat him this year. It's just a different type of year. Like Travis Kelce, he used to go in the first round a lot because he was really by far and away the best tight end that was around. And now you got, Trey McBride, Dalton Kincaid's on the come up, and Mark Andrews and stuff. And I feel like you can get them a little later. So just not super excited about getting Sam Laporta in the second round. But so after you picked Isaiah Pacheco, Travis Kelce went Lamar, Diggs, Mike Evans, and I'm on the clock again in the 3 spot. Derrick Henry's still here. That's just an easy ass pick for me. I'm going best player available, and if Derrick Henry is right here at the 310, that's an automatic selection for me. So
smash.
starting off with AJ Brown, Kyron, Derrick Henry. And Team 11 has started off with 4 wide receivers, which I know a lot of people love to do. Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams, Jalen Waddle, and DJ Moore. So I'm kind of anxious to see with how Team 11 kind of pans out at the end of this.
Yeah, that's a very interesting strategy. But like you said, a lot of people do that. And one of the main reasons I like to prioritize running backs is because I feel like later in the season or early on, either way, I feel like they have more trade value. You can get a couple good receivers for a great running back. Whereas if you have a great receiver, I don't know anybody that's going to give you 2 running backs that are worth starting,
Yeah.
But it's going to be tough. I mean, there are some good sleeper running backs down here, but we'll see how it turns out.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
And
like you said earlier, I do like a lot of the receivers later on in the draft. But I guess we'll see how it goes. But I'm back on the clock right here. Mahomes went, DJ Moore at quarterback. I'm looking at C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson, Joe Burrow in the fourth. Running back, looking at Rashad White, James Cook, and at receiver. And receiver is where I'm going. There's Michael Pittman right here, Devontae Smith, which I said earlier that the late third, and the early fourth, I just
Yeah.
feel like there's a massive tier, pretty much all the way starting back at the 2-2 where Devontae Adams went. So, Devontae Adams, Chris Olave, Brandon Ayuk, Nico, and I just think it's a massive tier. So, um,
Okay.
it's pretty
Yeah,
easy.
because
I got AJ Brown. If I didn't, Devontae Smith would be in consideration. But I'm gonna actually go with a guy that I like a lot this year. Michael Pittman's going ahead of him, but I'm not going that way. I'm actually going with DK Metcalf right here at the 4-3.
I like that pick.
Um, yeah, DK is kind of getting. I don't understand if it's just name, just his name, and he's been in the league for a while, where people kind of are just down on him, and he's a boring player now because all the rookie hype and the way Dynasty goes, where the young guys kind of get overvalued or everything like that. But I mean, DK Metcalf in the last 3 years has been the wide receiver 16, 18, 11, and 6. So I got him as my wide receiver 2, and he's finished as a high end wide receiver 2 every single season that he's been with
Yeah.
the Seahawks, except for his rookie year. So um, that's just a cornerstone on my
Yeah.
team.
Yeah, dude, he's a super solid receiver. Number one, your wide receiver one at what was that? I mean, you were in the fourth round, and Seattle, that nothing really changed there. Not much changed. The same quarterback.
They got a new offensive coordinator that came from Washington who had Rome Odunze, Jalen Polk, and I just feel like they're probably going to throw the ball a little bit more compared to what Pete Carroll was doing, and their offense should be at a faster pace. The Seahawks were very very slow and a very slow offense, and they were at the very very bottom of plays run last year. So their defense couldn't get off the field, and they just didn't run a lot of plays. But I think this year it's just gonna flip on its head where they're gonna be a faster pace offense. And if DK Metcalf is that Rome Odunze type player that their offensive coordinator had at Washington, I think he's going to
Yeah.
be extremely involved. And there's nothing you got to worry about with him in the red zone. He always performs in the red zone, always gets red zone targets.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
just think he's just as safe as pick as Michael Pittman is, except for DK Metcalf just scores more touchdowns. I mean, 8
Yeah.
last year,
And
6, 12, and 10 in his career. So
I think DK is safer than Pittman, man. And Pittman's getting overlooked except by the people that are kind of risky pickers sometimes. If already got a couple, I'd go for Pittman, but it's just still questionable. We haven't seen a big enough sample size from Anthony Richardson there to really put Pittman over DK for me. I mean, DK showed he could do it with two different quarterbacks, and he's got the size, like you said, in the red zone. He's an easy target. He'll get in there and he'll do the damn thing, And I think DK is a great pick, and you're right. I think people are really sleeping on him, pushing him lower than he really deserves to be. But that's why we're here, letting you guys know which guys you need to target where, and if some of these guys fall to you, it's a no-brainer in some points,
yeah,
because it's like you said. I mean, Devontae Smith's right there with him, but AJ Brown you already have. Don't want that bye week. So you got
yeah,
two wide receiver ones with Kyron and Derrick Henry stuck in there. I think that's a pretty good start, man. Um, all right, so it's back down to me. I'm at the 4-8. We're at the 4-8 right now. I have Tyreek Hill, Travis Etienne, and Isaiah Pacheco. So having Tyreek Hill, I'm gonna stack these running backs, man, because I like to have the starting running backs on good offenses. There's other starting running backs, but it's hard to find the ones that are guaranteed and I don't like to mess around when it comes to it because running back is probably the position where injuries occur the most. And the next guy up isn't always the best guy, and you're not guaranteed to get him, you know?
Yeah.
And so I really just like to have that security there. So I'm looking at James Cook, Joe Mixon, Kenneth Walker, Kamara right here.
That's
And
tough. Talk me through that because those guys are kind of in a certain tier. And at wide receiver, just in case anybody was wondering, there's one wide receiver that I just want to mention to see if you might think about taking him. Cooper Kupp right here. I think you probably have him valued over like Zay Flowers and T. Higgins. I don't think that's close to you.
yeah,
And I mean, if it was me, I think Cooper Kupp's in that same tier. Like I was looking at him between Metcalf and Devontae Smith, but I wouldn't even think about Zay Flowers. Like he's not even in my picture right here. But
not over Cup for sure.
but would you think about taking Cup, who's in that upper tier, and then getting that one of them? Because you said 4 running backs you like. Like you could get
That's
Cup
true.
here. You could
That's
get
true.
Cup here, and then still get one of them running backs.
I could
Probably.
snag Cup here. That's not a terrible idea. And then already have both my receivers set, and
So-
I could really just fill up my flex spots with running backs, and then grab a receiver down on the bench after a few things. So I think Cooper Cup. That is a good point if he falls because that next tier with Flowers, Higgins, Pickens, Amari Cooper, who I still don't think I'll ever draft. Dude, this is the first year I've really been debating Amari, but
Oh, I like his value this year.
I do too, and I might end up getting a share of Amari if it pans out. But that's a good thing, and this is why we do these things because like I said, James Cook, Joe Mixon, Kenneth Walker aren't my favorites, but going down after those guys, and I'm coming back pretty soon, so I could still get one of those 4, Kamara being the 4th. Let's go. Let's do a Cooper Cup. Let's do a Cooper Cup because that's good. I mean, the guy has finished 11. He finished with over 11 fantasy points per game last year. I mean, he only played 12
He was
games.
playing injured a lot.
Yeah, he only played 12 games, playing injured. I mean, the team was ranked according to Sleeper number 7th on offense, 11th in passing yards, 8th in touchdowns. Red zone percentage is 8%. I mean, and he's a big body receiver, 6'2", 207. He's 31.
Yeah.
So that's the main thing we it's probably if he was 27, we wouldn't even be questioning this. But Puka being there, I think, helps him out because he
Yeah.
doesn't get double covered. So I think that's a great pick. I got my security and Tyreek, and I could take a shot on Cooper Cup right here. High
Yeah.
upside, very low. I mean, not a very low floor. So let's do that. I like Matt Stafford. I like that offense. I already got 2 really good running backs, a great receiver. I think that's a solid start. ETN. I got Tyreek, ETN, Isaiah, and then Cooper Cup. So I got 2 running backs, 2 receivers filled up, man.
You can go
And
wherever you want now. It's wide
I
open.
could now you fill the draft. You fill the draft out and see what
And
everybody else is
Kamara didn't
doing.
make it back to you like I predicted, and I think that's the end of that tier for running backs. So I think you
Yeah,
got a
and
good
that's
got a good
obvious
selection right here.
for me. Aaron Jones, James Conner is something I actually wanted to talk to you about. I've been off of James Conner, but he's been doing good the past few years. He's in there. I mean, 6'1", 233. Hasn't had the best finishes. Only had 1 top 5 finish in 2021.
He's always hurt, but he always finishes strong.
He always finishes strong, and every year I'm like, I don't want to mess with James Conner, and I think I'm still on that. I think I'm still on that, dude. I think, especially with Trey Benson being there.
But would it change your mind if I said he was the running back 10 last season in fantasy points per game when he did play? So he was an RB1 when he did play.
And that's the thing. But
They got
when
Trey
you
Benson
compare him,
now.
if I'm comparing Connor to David Montgomery or Ramondre Stevenson, I'm taking him.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
you can't deny the fact. I mean, Kamara, 15 points a game. Since the beginning of his career.
I mean, David Montgomery was at 14 points a game, so I wouldn't say that David Montgomery is like out of the conversation for this pick.
And he's not.
I know we're talking about last year, but as far as Montgomery goes, I don't think anything has really changed. I know Gibbs is going to be a little bit more involved, but I still think the main role you have with Montgomery is going to be, he's still going to be 40, 50% of the snaps and with get the goal line work. I don't think Gibbs is, especially, in the regular season, if they're both healthy, Dan Campbell's going to want to keep both of them on the field and both
Agreed.
fresh. So I don't think Gibbs is just going to take over that
I don't
backfield
either.
like that.
I don't either, but I was going to say, but James Conner doesn't have a true committee going, and he technically doesn't, but he's got a great prospect on his coattails, and they could do one or two things. It can motivate him, and he could have I would say another good season, or he could get his position took.
And
And I
the
just feel more
offense should be
secure.
better.
For some reason, going. It's like the Derrick Henry thing. Kamara's given me so many
Great
good
year.
years. I mean, going from when he came in the league, he
Oh,
finished
he's
in
a
half
goat, man.
3, 4, 13, 1 in 2020, position 8, 18, 14. He only played 13 games last year. And he's the GOAT. And Derek Carr is the dump off master. I think we had a conversation last year. We said we want any running back that's attached to Derek Carr.
Pretty
And
much.
so I've already
Josh
got,
Jacobs was with him.
yeah, he got the dump offs. He
Led the league in rushing.
led the league in rushing. And I got Isaiah Pacheco is my most secure running back. I feel like he's got a secure role there. Nobody's fighting for it. He's got a great team, a great offense. ETN, little risky, finished great, has a good team, but he has amazing talent. So I think getting Kamara right here is a great pick because he has amazing upside, and the only thing that's gonna hold him back is injury, in my opinion. I don't think Miller's gonna come in and just straight up take his position. I think the only person holding Kamara back
You
is
mean
Kamara.
Trey Benson? Oh, never mind. Kendra Miller. My bad. That
Yeah,
was my
Kendra
bad.
Miller holding
Yeah.
Kamara back. I don't think he's gonna come in and take his spot.
I know it's early,
So,
but they haven't necessarily been raving about Kendra Miller either. There was a quote that somewhat said that he wasn't where they expected him to be, and Jamal Williams is still the number 2 there, which that I don't know, that doesn't give me a lot of confidence because Jamal Williams is kind of trash at this point. And but this is funny because this is kind of like the conversations we have on the phone, except for we're doing it on a podcast with
right.
with the way we're drafting, because kind of like talking each other in and out of it, or
Yeah.
can you do this? If you do this, can you do this later? But I'm up right now after Kamara went. It went Aaron Jones after that, which I like the pick of Kamara a lot because I feel like I think that's a pretty big tier break to go
On a
from
lot of teams,
Alvin Kamara to
especially
Aaron Jones.
but on a lot of teams, especially like the players who value receivers more than running backs, that's a lot of people's RB1. I feel like Alvin Kamara, a lot of people would consider a good RB1, especially if you have 2, 3 starting wide receivers off the rip. I think going and getting Kamara. So he's my first flex play. So I'm super comfy
Yeah,
with that.
yeah. I agree with that. I agree with that pick totally. So right here, I'm looking at this is a sweet spot for me for quarterbacks.
Mm-mm.
But I do see that Team 12 already has one, so I only have to worry about one going. And there's a couple quarterbacks that I like between Joe Burrow, Kyler, and Dak. So I'm going to get one with my next pick, not right now.
Okay.
Because there's a receiver that I really like that I want to take the chance on the upside. So I got A.J. Brown, DK Metcalf, and I'm going to roll with George Pickens right here. I've always liked George Pickens. It was between him and Amari Cooper, which I like Amari Cooper a lot too. I wouldn't blame anybody
What
if they
puts
took
you?
Amari Cooper ahead.
What puts George Pickens over Amari Cooper for you? Because in my mind,
Nothing. Excitement. Just, I mean,
yeah,
truthfully, that's why I said if you want to take Amari Cooper, just go ahead and do it. And I don't even I don't dislike Amari Cooper like you do. I mean, I still don't like
yeah,
him, but
yeah.
um, but I mean, George Pickens last season, I just think that he has grown. He has grown progressively through his first 2 years. Where I think that he's just going to keep taking that step up with Deontay Johnson gone, Russ there. I mean the Steelers threw 13 touchdowns last season as a team, and
Man,
George Pickens just had massive weeks and went over 1,000 yards again. Um, I just want to take the chance that as my wide receiver 3, that George Pickens kind of breaks out fully this year and becomes one of them
when it
top
comes
guys.
to quarterbacks, sorry to interrupt, but so when it comes to quarterbacks, do you think Deshaun Watson is better or Russell Wilson? Is that something you take into it, or is it just you feel like Pickens just overall as a player himself, or are you considering the quarterback play is better?
No, it's not that I think the quarterback play is better. I think Deshaun's probably better than Russ at this point in his career, but um, we kind of seen what
And that
happened with
team has a
Cortland
good
Sutton
offensive line.
last year with the touchdowns, and George Pickens is just. I just can't see a world with Deontay Johnson gone that George Pickens just doesn't get so much
Peppered.
work this season and just takes that big step up. And I
Getting
just want,
peppered like some bland ass grits.
and that's what I want with my wide receiver 3. I want a guy that could be my wide receiver 1. You know what I
Yep.
mean?
He's this is the
So
this is a good spot to find those. This is where you usually find your league winners. I mean, this is when Jonathan Taylor hit the market. You know,
Josh
that
Jacobs,
year
the
that
previous
year I
year, he
picked
was in
him
like
and it was in like the fourth, fifth, you
Cooper
know,
Cup when he had his massive season was right here.
you had to have got him. Yeah. So this is where you really find this is a pivotal point in this draft, man. Pivotal point in the draft. So who are you going with? You went George Pickens. All right. Quarterback went. George Kittle
Like I,
went.
yeah,
Rome and then Jordan Addison. Back on you.
yeah.
Burrow's gone. You taking a quarterback
Well, it's an
here?
easy, yeah, it's an easy pick for me. Well, it's an easy positional pick for me, but it's not an easy pick. So I'm starting off. I got AJ Brown, DK, and Pickens as my receivers, and then I got Kyron and Derrick Henry as my running backs. I'm super happy with this team right now. If this would happen in my real league, I would be fucking ecstatic.
Be
But
ecstatic.
yeah, I'd be ecstatic. But I've been back and forth with this one throughout the entire year. It's between Kyler Murray and Dak Prescott, and I love both of them really. I
Yeah.
think they could both finish top 5 at the position. Um, Kyler gets Marvin Harrison there, and he's got the rushing upside. But with the way that the Cowboys are going with their running back situation, and I think they might lead the league in passing attempts this season. It's just a very tough pick. So
Yeah. Yeah, because
what do you?
Dak
I mean, what do you think? Because I think I know where I'm going, but I want to hear your input on Kyler versus Dak.
honestly,
6-point passing touchdown. I need to go ahead and mention that, and you know,
yeah, honestly, I don't. Dak is not one of my favorite quarterbacks. Don't feel like he is elite, but he puts up these elite years. And Kyler, I feel like the main thing holding him back was injury, and I think more or less just the team. Whereas
lack of weapons.
I think Kyler has more talent than Dak, and I feel like Kyler, if he was on the Cowboys quarterback, I think they might would have won a Super Bowl. But because Dak just can't finish, but that doesn't have to do with this. Dak puts up points in the regular season, but if I was picking, honestly, I wouldn't pick my quarterback right here. Dak's team ranks offense fifth, passing yards, they're ranked third, passing attempts eighth, passing touchdowns first, red zone first, and Kyler Murray team ranks 19th in offense, 26th in passing
Yeah,
yards,
he didn't
24th.
play most of last season though, so you can kind of throw them out.
That's true. That is true. I think Dak has the better team. I think Kyler is the better talent. I think I would take Kyler over Dak.
You you know what my tiebreaker is. My fantasy tiebreaker is between these guys is I'm gonna go Kyler here, and it's all based on something totally different. I think Dallas's defense is really good, and I think there's a couple games where at the beginning of the season last year where Dak didn't have to do that much because their defense was so good. I think Arizona's defense is trash, and I think Kyler's going to have to score points, and you got that rushing upside, so I'm going to go Kyler here.
That's
But
that's a good.
I'm right there with Dak too, but I'll take the bad defense that quarterback's just going to have to keep up and keep scoring points.
Yep. Because this is the fake shit. This ain't about this, that, or the other. This is about facts and stats, and everybody knows a team that's losing got to throw the ball. So,
Yep.
like you said, Arizona's defense not that great, and Dallas' defense is probably going to score touchdowns on defense. So that just makes them not throw the ball. So I think you're right. I think Kyler is a good pick if you want to go quarterback there. If I had those two, I would pick Kyler too. Um, so it's come on back to me.
You got Dak. You got Dak, buddy.
I'm not, and so this is where this is one thing I want to talk about. So I'm not going to take Dak, and the quarterback that I'm eyeing for is the one and only Brock the Bot Purdy because he is on a great team. He has little hype, so that's not weighing on his mental. He has great weapons around him. All he has to do is get the ball in their hands, and I think at this tier, I mean, Brock Purdy is like people are upset that he was not in the top five quarterbacks. You
He was
know,
number 6. Oh, you're talking about
exactly.
ranking. You're just talking about
That's what
overall
I'm
rating.
saying. Yeah, like because there's been a couple ESPN or something they've come out with a few top 10 quarterback rankings and
ESPN's stupid
top
anyway. So
five. Well, I'm saying Brock. It's an argument that Brock Purdy is a top five quarterback in the league, and I
yeah.
feel like nobody really knows why he's not
Well,
ranked up
I think
there.
everybody knows why he's not. I
I think it's
disagree.
just
It's
Mr. Irrelevant.
because they make the excuse of his team around him is so good. But I mean, he still does the best with the team that he has around him, and I think
Exactly.
he's a
Like he
great
has.
quarterback. So
Yeah. So that is actually who I'm targeting. I don't because I got Dak
you
Prescott
don't have
one
to
and
take him
one.
here though.
I don't have to take him here. So I'm looking at Tyreek Hill, ETN, Pacheco, Cooper Cup, Alvin Kamara. Let me see. The running backs I have left are James Conner, Montgomery, Najee. Tight ends I'm looking at Evan Ingram, Brock Bowers, David Njoku, Christian Kirk, Terry McLaurin, Jaden Reed, Xavier Worthy. The receivers are really starting to fall off right here. I think tight end.
Aren't you glad you got Cooper Cup?
I'm glad I got Cooper Cup. I feel like I can. I feel like I can skip on receiver and come down here and get like Lad McConkey or Deontay Johnson, DeAndre Hopkins, Keon Coleman. Those are some guys I'd be cool with stashing on the bench and thinking they
Yeah.
would be good. And honestly, at this point right here, I could go another running back, but there's still a couple guys down here because it'll be my fourth running back. I
I
really
know what
want to
my pick
secure that.
is.
I really want to secure that spot up. I'd like to have four great running backs, but when it comes down to it, let me check my team. Oof, that makes it difficult. 'Cause I'd like to get Evan Ingram right here, and this is another reason I might end up switching off of Travis Etienne because I really am high on Evan Ingram, and he finished what he's the number one, number two tight end,
Yeah, number one in PPR. I think number two and half. So
number two,
something like
and
that.
oh yeah, Sam Laporta is the only person that beat him out. So he's a great tight end here, but I think Njoku could possibly put up the same numbers. So honestly, right here, I would go Evan Ingram if I didn't have Travis Etienne, and I'm honestly debating still doing it, even though they're going to have the same bye week.
Yeah.
But since they do have the same bye week, and I really do not like to stack players unless it's quarterback receiver, that's you get the
I mean,
stack from that.
tight end is one of them positions that you just want the best out of the group. I mean, me personally, I don't see no point of you swaying off of a tight end, because you already
Yeah,
have somebody on the same team. I think it'd be a little different if it was like the receiver, like if you had Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram, but I don't think it would bother me at all. I
so
don't
you
even
think
think it'd
running
be.
back? You think running back receiver or running back? Do you think running back receiver on the same team is okay, or just like running back tight end on the same team?
I mean, if it's a good enough team, I don't care.
It's true.
If it's the Rams or something, Kyron Williams, Cooper Kupp, I'm perfectly fine with it. It just depends on what it is. But I mean, as far as tight ends go, just get the guy who's going to score the most points. I mean,
And
it
that's
doesn't
Evan
matter.
Ingram.
He's not
And
going to take away from
I think that's
ETN's
a great
work.
pick right here. Yeah, I think that's a great pick right here. You got a point. It's the bye week that gets me. It makes me irk. I don't like having two-star players not playing, but everybody has it. Everybody gets bye weeks, and you got to deal with them. And I think you're right because that has been a
Yeah,
debate that I've had whether or not to get Evan Ingram because I already got a Jacksonville, you know,
yeah,
uh, star player.
yeah.
So
No, Trevor Lawrence is your quarterback, is what you're saying.
yeah, so I'm getting Trevor right here.
All right,
Uh,
wait. Well, I do want to mention to everybody too, because we didn't clarify this at the start, which we probably should have. In our leagues, we play two wide receiver, two running back, two flex. So when Ian was talking about taking four running backs, I know a lot of people might have been like, "Why is he taking a bench player over a starting position?" But that's the way we play. That's the way our teams are constructed. So just wanted to point that out. You can start four running backs in this league. So when you were talking about taking a running back, he would have been in your starting,
right,
in your starting spot.
right. I like to start for running back ones on teams that score shitloads of fucking points, grab lots of touchdowns, and so it's back on me. I think I'm gonna go with my boy Bot Purdy right here and see what because I really like I said I like to have four running backs secured and then maybe get a couple on the bench that are questionables, but I don't like to have a lot of questionable running backs because running backs are hard to get during season. If you're not the first guy, like week 1, 2, are you're gonna find your league winners. But running backs are hard to get during the season, so I like to make sure I have that position locked down. But I gotta get my quarterback secured up. I gotta get my quarterback secured up before I finish off that last flex spot.
So you went Brock Purdy over Jordan Love.
I went Brock Purdy over Jordan Love. Why did I do
I mean,
that?
I don't. I mean, I don't see nothing wrong with it. I was just wanting to have the conversation of what do you think the difference between them is. I mean, they were both right neck and neck with one another last year. Jordan Love was the QB5. Brock Purdy was the QB6. Um, I don't know. I just want to hear your
Well,
thoughts on that.
honestly, Austin, I wasn't paying that much attention, and I didn't realize Jordan Love was still there. But it is a toss up with those two. They're both on great teams. They're both young. I think Brock
Both
has
got
the better
weapons.
weapons. Brock has the better weapons, but Jordan Love probably has more. Jordan Love has more talent, more athletic ability, but I think Brock Purdy is more of a just
Drew Brees.
of a breed, not necessarily a game manager, not necessarily the guy, but honestly, he kind of it's. And I don't like comparing him to Tom Brady, but it's that type of quarterback that's just he's going to get the ball out of his hands. He's not going to be doing dumb stuff. Not going to take a lot of penalties. And Jordan Love,
And Kyle Shanahan.
and it's the Shanahan offense. They're gonna be great. I mean, they're gonna be a Super Bowl team. Whereas Packers, as much as I love them, they're not quite that. But I think they will be. So yeah, I think I'd take Purdy over Love right there. Just the security of it. The security of it.
Yeah.
I think they have a better offensive line too.
All right. Well, we're here. We're into, I wouldn't say scrubs because these guys are still good right here. We're in the what round we in? We in the 7th round right now. I got my quarterback situation figured out. Jordan Love's still there. I haven't taken him not one time in all the redraft, even though I'm a Packers fan, because I like the quarterbacks that I like in fantasy, and my tier ends with Dak Prescott. Not saying I wouldn't punt the position in redraft because sometimes you just got to take value where value is given. But
that being said, I've done a couple drafts where I've went no QB and gotten Herbert way down because I feel like that's a pretty good steal. He was
yeah,
going really high in drafts last year, and he's way down there, and I understand why.
we can
But
agree to disagree on that one. I think Herbert is getting devalued in dynasty leagues, so I don't want anybody to get misconstrued that I think Herbert is done and following the narrative that they're gonna just run the ball 100 times with a game with Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins. Like, I don't believe that. I think they're still going to have to throw the ball. And there's a lot of receivers. I like Ladd on that team. I like Joshua Palmer as a late round stab. So, and I like Herbert, but I just, in a 12-man league, I don't know if I could see Herbert finishing in the top 12. And that's my problem. Is like, I don't
think they're
want
at
the
12.
12th best. I don't want the 12th best quarterback in a 12-man league in a redraft in a one QB setting. That was my main guy because I think you're most likely going to end up streaming the position if that's going to be the case. So I'd rather just stream the position. But so right here,
Yeah,
I'm looking at receiver, running back, tight end, and there's a tight end that I really like. But I also don't like going quarterback decently early and tight end early. Um, I
look at
got
them back to Mike, baby.
I got
Back to
3
Mike.
receivers and 2 running backs. I can start. I'm just looking at a flex spot, so I'm going to think about who's going to score the most points for me at this point, and I'm actually going to take. So at running back, you got Zamir White, Tony Pollard, Raheem Mostert, Jonathan Brooks. At wide receiver, I'm looking at Hollywood, Ladd McConkey, Deontay Johnson. I have a short turnaround.
At your team, what I
I
would
know
do,
where
I'm,
I'm
I'm gonna
going.
go. I'm gonna go hypothetical. What I would do. All right, let's go with what Ian would do with your team, with what you got there. Oh man, I almost would say I think I would snag Tony Pollard if I was you.
Yeah, yeah, that's not
And
happening.
I haven't been on Pollard, but for some reason I feel like starting running back and on a yeah, maybe yeah. I don't. But
I'll go ahead and tell
he's
you what I'm thinking. In
what do you get? What are you doing?
is
What do you think?
I want to figure out a way to get Ladd McConkey and Raheem Mostert on my team at the same time. And so, which one do I think will fall further? Raheem Mostert is a little lower, or he's when I'm looking at it right now. Raheem Mostert's the 3rd running back left, and
Mm,
I have, team 11 doesn't have any running backs yet,
yep.
so he's all receivers and a quarterback,
Yeah. So he's
and
definitely going running back.
he might
He's
double up. He might double up right here, and then Team 12 has 2 running backs. So my pick right here is definitely Raheem Mostert. I will take him 100 out of 100 times over
So you like
Tom.
Mostert over Zamir White?
Zamir White is close, but I think Raheem Mostert's less of a risk as my RB3 because the touchdown opportunity. He had 21 last year. I don't think he's going to do that again, but I mean, I still think Raheem Mostert going 6 rounds after Devon Achane is kind of absurd. So Raheem Mostert's going to be my pick.
But I think and that's I get that because he does put up. I mean, he put up 256.2 fantasy points last year.
RB3.
And he finished in half PPR. It says 2 right here. What I'm looking at.
Yeah.
But the guy, I mean, is it a thing? Can Raheem Mostert finish? I mean, play more than 15 games a season now? I mean, every time he does good. But
I'm taking him in the 7th or 8th round.
But what I'm saying is the main reason
we're talking about Devon Achane, who is 170 pounds going in the 2nd round. Do you think he can play 17 games?
Well, what I'm saying is Raheem Mostert has been known as a chandelier. Like the only reason he is not drafted in the first second round is because of his injury history. He just can't stay healthy. But for the last 2 years, I mean, he played 16 games in 22, 15 and 23.
Yeah. And he's an older running back. He's 31 years old, but you got to think of what tread on the tires does he have? Like he hasn't been a workhorse running back in the league. And he's playing in the best offense in the entire league. I mean, we just talked about it. Wasn't they number 1 in yards or number 2 or 3?
Number 1 in total offense, 16th in rushing attempts is 15th, rushing touchdowns is 2nd.
It's the same ordeal with Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, and I feel like I got Raheem Mostert. That's the way I feel like Raheem Mostert should be valued. Even though he is a speed guy who was a track star and everything, and people look at him like that, he is the David Montgomery of the Miami offense. He's the touchdown scorer.
And I remember last year, I was racking my brain. I lost sleep trying to figure out how to get Raheem Mostert on my team. I was like, holy crap, this guy's a boss. But I think
he almost averaged 5 yards a carry last season too. So it's not like he was just out there scoring touchdowns like Jamal Williams did with Detroit.
Right.
Before, he was still a good running back. I mean, almost 5 yards a carry. That's a good
5
average.
Yards a carry is elite in my eyes on a running back. I mean, if you're getting 5 yards every time, that's elite status. And so I think the only reason we put him, he's so far down, is that injury history. And I think that's a good pick right there. I mean, like you said, the teams behind you were heavy on the receivers. So they were probably gonna get some running backs. But Team 11 got Hollywood Brown.
Yeah, Hollywood Brown and Nick Chubb. His number 1 running back is a running back that
going 0 receiver.
Or 0 running back. Yeah, he went Nick Chubb, and that's not a good. If you, I'm just saying this. I'm not gonna say that it's a bad strategy. We're hating on the computer right now. I mean, damn. Yeah. But still, I know a lot of people do that strategy where they do 0 RB, which I think can work. But Nick Chubb shouldn't be your 0 RB target.
No, I would have picked Jerome Ford over Nick Chubb. I mean,
I would have picked Zamir White. I would have been looking at that range of Zamir White and Zach Moss and stuff like that. Devin Singletary, if I was going to go that heavy wide receiver.
Yeah, but why go Nick Chubb there when you can get Zamir or Jerome Ford way later? And it's looking like Nick Chubb's knee was messed up. It's looking like Jerome Ford might have at least the start of the season.
And it's a good idea to stack the start of the season with the end of the season. Like I kind of like getting Jonathan Brooks for the end of the season because he's coming off a torn ACL, and then getting Jerome Ford later to saddle up that start of the season. And no, you got some good points, but right here So I got 3 running backs, 3 receivers. I got A.J. Brown, D.K. Metcalf, George Pickens as my receivers. Kyron, Derrick Henry, Raheem Mostert as my running back. So I'm 3 receivers, 3 running backs, and I got Kyler as my quarterback. I'm gonna go ahead and get my tight end right here, who I think is at the end of the tier. I don't want to go past this. I want to get David Njoku or Jake Ferguson, and I've been struggling with this. I've been struggling with this decision a lot, but I'm going Jake Ferguson right here. Last season, Jake Ferguson had 25 red zone targets, which was number 3 in the NFL behind CeeDee Lamb, and I can't remember the next one. He was number 3. I think it was maybe Devontae Adams or something like that. But he only scored 5 receiving touchdowns with them 25 red zone targets. And I've said it before. I don't know if I said it on the podcast. I'm calling my shot that Jake Ferguson leads the league in touchdowns at the tight end position.
Really?
So,
all right.
Jake
6'5",
Ferguson.
244. He's a big boy. He's going to be down there. He's going to be,
they don't. I mean, if Brandon Cooks is done, they need a solid, second guy, and I think Jake Ferguson is going to be that guy. So I don't mind.
Like that.
That's the end of the tier for me. I don't want to make it past that. I don't want to pick tight ends past that with Dalton Schultz and Cole Kmet and all that bullshit.
I don't either. I mean, I feel like, yeah, like you said. I mean, if you can't get Ferguson, like you said, Ferguson and Njoku right there with each other. I've been taking Njoku if I'm getting a tight end down here over Ferguson, just because I feel like Njoku is better than Ferguson, honestly. But
yeah,
I think Jake Ferguson probably does have the opportunity to get more red zone touchdowns, but they're right there with each other, and that's a good pick. I don't think you can really lose, but like you said, after those two, it falls off. I mean, Goddard's there. Goddard's still there. But that team is full of superstars, especially with Saquon Barkley coming in. That puts Goddard.
And I got AJ Brown too, so.
And you got AJ, so that takes him off. Hawkinson coming off a bad injury. Schultz got a new guy in there.
Schultz is going to be the guy. I like Schultz a little bit more in best ball because, I mean, you got 3 receivers over there with Diggs, Dell, and Nico. So, I think Schultz is going to have some games, but it's going to be so spread out during the season. It's going to be like, when should I even start this guy?
I think he's going to be touchdown.
Exactly.
And yeah, Joe Mixon's there too. I mean, he's a great receiver out of the backfield. So,
but why would I take the number 4 option in an offense over the number 2 option in an offense? So
you wouldn't.
Yeah, I wouldn't. But you're up right now. You already got your quarterback. You already got your tight end with Evan Ingram, Brock Purdy. You're set at running back, ETN, Pacheco, Kamara, Tyreek Hill, and Cooper Kupp as your receivers. What are you thinking right here, man? You got a flex spot you got to fill?
I got a flex spot I got to fill. I'm thinking right here, I need another running back, is what I'm thinking in my head. I'm thinking I need another running back. The wide receivers are starting to fall off. I think one of the good ones will be able to come back to me. The running backs I'm looking at right here, Javonte Williams, Zach Moss, Austin Eckler, Warren, Singletary, Benson. Brian Robinson's there, Tajay Spears. That's a tough running back crowd to really try to choose one.
Well, I mean, me and Matt have talked a lot about Zach Moss and what we think he's going to be for the Bengals. I just want to hear your opinion on Zach Moss and the Chase Brown situation, because if Zach Moss is just say 3/4 of Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon was RB6 last season on a high-scoring offense. And I've heard a lot of statistics about Zach Moss. He was number 1 running back last season, running out of shotgun, which the Bengals like to do. And a great pass blocker,
Yeah,
and
and a
if
lot of
if the
teams
Bengals
love
have a
that.
priority, it's going to be keeping Joe Burrow upright.
Exactly.
So what do you think about Zach Moss?
I think you're spot on with that, and I think Zach Moss cannot be denied for the numbers he put up last year. He's on a different team, but running back is by far the easiest position to transfer between teams, and honestly, from college to NFL. I mean, it's grab the ball, go here, grab the ball, go here, and if you got the talent, you got it. If you don't, you don't. Offensive line can have a lot to do with it, but I think out of all these players right here, Javonte Williams, I don't want to. I don't want to deal with that. I'd rather get his
I
backup,
agree.
the rookie, later on, and hope for the best. Austin Eckler. Uh,
Did you see
it's
the news
such a
today
good
about Javonte Williams?
no.
Well, they're saying that Javonte Williams and Samaje Perine are fighting for roster spots, and Jaleel McLaughlin and Audric Estime are locks for the roster.
Dude, I like the sound of that. I like the sound of that because I got old Estime on my dynasty squad. Hoping one of those. I got him, and anyway, we're not talking about that. But so Javante, like he has been. I mean, he's done good enough to make people feel like they need him because of his age. He's getting up there, and the team hasn't been productive. He hasn't really been
Just make
productive.
your
I
damn
mean,
pick, man. Just make your damn
okay,
pick. We all know it's
Zach
Zach
Moss.
Moss.
I'm taking Zach. I thought we were just talking about everybody. So I got 4 running backs locked down. Might not necessarily be starting all 4 of those running backs to start the year, but I like to have them in there. Coming back, I definitely want to grab me another receiver right here because I'm probably just going to dump receivers for the rest of it. I might grab one more running back in there, but I'm going to try to load up on receivers right here. And I got some really good receivers, ones that I would be happy with being my wide receiver too. Honestly, I got JSN, Christian Watson for Green Bay. Not the Green Bay receiver I really want to go after. Kind of questionable. You got Jamal Williams, or sorry, Jamison Williams for Detroit. Very questionable. Courtland Sutton on a shitty team. Let's just say that rookie quarterback not going there.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
Adonai Mitchell, he's a rookie on a team that's questionable. And then old veteran, old man in the high castle over in Green Bay, Mr. Romeo Dobbs. You got Green Bay's in the
Yeah,
clubhouse #1 receiver. Everybody says, and I think Romeo Dobbs is a great pick right here.
I like how you went down the list and just picked the guy you wanted because at this point in the draft, it's kind of go get the guy you want and stop sticking with ADP
Yep.
and going with that. So I really like the pick right there. I like Dobbs just as much as Watson, if not more. I like Watson a little more in best ball just because of his size and
Upside.
speed. Yeah, just upside if he can play a full healthy season. But I've said it. I'll say it again. I think Romeo Dobbs is the one receiver on the Packers that plays most of the snaps. I think he's gonna lead that team in snap percentage. I think he's gonna be on the field the most. So
Yeah, agreed.
right here
And
you went Dobbs.
everybody in the clubhouse looks up to Dobbs. All the receivers looks up to him. In the Packers' mind, Romeo Dobbs is the clear cut wide receiver 1. And that's a steal for me. I mean, I get the Packers #1 wide receiver linked to Jordan Love with all these other great fast receivers around him, pulling defenses away. So, what do you got, cousin?
Yeah. Yeah, and another thing about Dobbs too is him and Watson the only guys that play with Aaron Rodgers when he was there.
Mm-hmm.
Jaden Reed didn't, Dontavian Wicks didn't, and I think you do learn a lot from a veteran quarterback about how to play the
Yeah.
receiver position. So, I really like Dobbs right there. I think that's a good pick. But I'm in the same spot as you. I got 3 running backs, 3 receivers, so I'm really just looking to fill that flex spot of who I think is going to just score the most on a given season.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I like the depth. Well, I don't really like anybody at this point, but I like the depth at receiver more than I do running back. So I want to make sure that I get a
Right,
starting running back in a
right.
league right now. So I think Devin Singletary is going to be my pick. Um,
Nice.
just go ahead and get him. And because we're looking at Christian Watson, Jameson Williams, and there's a couple receivers that I would like to take a shot on a little bit later. But
Yeah,
if I thought Gus Edwards would make it back, I think that I would debate taking a receiver and then getting Gus.
yeah.
Which I'm gonna change my mind. I actually gonna change my mind. I'm gonna go Christian Watson right here, see if Gus makes it back.
Okay. And I don't. That's not a terrible. That's not a terrible idea either. I mean, you get at this point in the draft, like you said, go for the guy you kind of want, and you got to take some shots right here. You got to take some shots. All these guys are unproven, or they're trying to make a comeback like Ezekiel Elliott. Ezekiel Elliott's right here. Apparently, he's a starting running back for the Dallas Cowboys, and he's going
Yeah.
in the what round are we in? 11th round.
Yeah, and I did end up getting Gus. He came back. I got Gus Edwards. My only thing was him or Tajay Spears, which I really like Tajay Spears. I think that if it was me, I've heard some things from their offensive coordinator saying that Tony Pollard and Tajay are going to be 50-50 running backs. So I would just take Tajay Spears a couple rounds later than
Yeah.
Tony Pollard. But
Yeah.
I went with Gus because I feel like, just a touchdown machine. And I feel like on a bye week, if you want to just play him, you're betting on that touchdown opportunity. And I think that he's a really good candidate to score one of them touchdowns that you need on that bye week. So went Gus there. We're kind of into the thick of things right here. So Jared Goff went, Blake Corum, Tajay Spears. What are you thinking about right here, Ian? And then we can probably just call it after this one and the next one. Just start talking about some players that we really like that we're trying to kind of get as sleepers.
Yeah, dude. And honestly, I haven't seen enough to really start drafting this part of the mocks because these are your sleepers, and I really need to see the training camp and all the stuff coming out and this, that, and the other. But I think right here, I think I need to go another receiver. I'm pretty stacked on running backs, so I'm gonna take a shot on Curtis Samuel. I mean, he's linked up with Joe Burrow. Josh Allen on a good offense. He's a good receiver. I think he's a guy you can definitely take a shot on. And then coming back, I think I'm gonna try to get one more running back just to throw in there. I got Zach Charbonnet, Hubbard, but I'm going Kendre Miller just to sure up Alvin Kamara. I got, that way I got the Saints backfield locked down. That running back position is locked. I have that starting running back, and if both of them get hurt, best believe I'm the first one to go get the next guy. But anyway, how do you feel about that?
Dude, I like the pick a lot. I mean, I'm not opposed to getting handcuffs, especially for one of your main guys, and he might be a guy that you could start, kind of on a sub-weekly basis if he does pan out. But I'm on the clock right here. I got my running backs. I'm just gonna start loading up on receivers and taking a shot on these guys. And one guy that I like is Rashid Shaheed for New Orleans. I think that I just think he's going to be a good flex play throughout the year where he's going to be the wide receiver too in that offense. It's funny, we both took two Saints players and they both, the Saints kind of suck. But as of right here, I'm looking at like Mike Williams, Khalil Shakir. Jacoby Myers is very close where I like Jacoby, but you can hate on Derek Carr all you want. He's not Aiden O'Connell. So I think I'm going to go with Rashid Shaheed and hopefully he breaks out.
Yeah, dude. Ain't mad at that.
Then it come back to me and Luke Musgrave win. I'm not looking at any tight ends. This is start one tight end. It's not a premium.
For
So
sure.
I'm not going to draft another tight end in this whole entire draft. Quarterbacks, I'm not going to draft one unless there's a guy that I like with a lot of upside, and there's one guy that I would love to take as my QB2, but he's already gone. It's Jaden Daniels. I really want to see what he's made of,
Yeah.
especially with the rushing upside, which I would love to take him as my QB2 around this area where it's just like you're picking some receivers that might not be worth the shit.
Right.
Compared to a rushing quarterback that has tremendous
Yeah.
upside, but he's not
That's
there.
true.
And so he went about a round ahead. So I'm just going to keep loading receivers down. I went Rashid Shaheed and the guy I just talked about, Jacoby Myers. I think he's a solid player
I
that
agree.
I really like at this late.
Yeah, I mean he's averaging, he averaged last year 11.4 fantasy points a game, and he was on, or no,
He
he
was a
did
wide
play the
receiver
Saints.
too. He was a wide receiver 24 last season. He was a wide receiver 2 for your team
Yeah,
that I'm getting in the 12th round.
yeah. I mean 10 points a game from my, yeah. He's a guy that you can put in there if you need him. If you don't know, you don't. He's a great one. So
Well, yeah, I know you're up, but just go ahead and mention like a couple players that you like at this point, and just mention the team that you got.
yeah, dude. So I'm rocking. Just to recap on the team. So I got Brock Purdy quarterback starting. Travis Etienne, Pacheco. I got Tyreek Hill and Cooper Cup. Evan Ingram for tight end, and Kamara Zach Moss in my flex. Dobbs, Curtis Samuel, Kendre Miller. Team's pretty solid right now. So this is the point in the draft where I really want to reach out. And a lot of people that fall around here, it's hit or miss. These people go, it's you can get them or you can't. I mean, it's all over the place. But some of the players I definitely would be targeting around here is someone like Marshawn Lloyd. Jalen Wright is a great person to get down here. I think he's a super fast running back on a great offense.
With injury prone running backs.
With injury prone running backs. Jalen Wright is somebody I was really targeting in Dynasty. Didn't get a chance to get because the people that we play with are just freaking smart. And the other running backs down here is J.K. Dobbins, Dowdle. I doubt it. I mean, Ty Chandler now. Algier.
I would take my shot on Rico Dowdle before I took Marshawn Lloyd or what's
Think
the other
so?
guy you meant? Or Jalen Wright. I
Yeah,
don't think
that's it.
Jalen Wright is going to have an injury. I think Rico Dowdle is going to be playing 50% of the snaps to start the season. I mean, I think it's more like the
Yeah, I
Gus
agree,
Edwards,
bro.
J.K. Dobbins. I think it's like the Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins mixture,
Hmm.
but it's Rico
But I
Dowdle who I
think,
think is the better running back out of the two, but I don't think it's
well,
going to get the goal line work.
yeah, and I think Dowdle has a better opportunity to take the job than Marshawn Lloyd would. I think the only way Marshawn Lloyd has that starting job is if Jacobs gets hurt, and
Yeah.
then
And Packers
hopefully,
don't really just throw rookies out there. I hate it, but I think AJ Dillon's going to be on the field a lot more than we want to see this season.
dude, Nick Ercolano, you know what he called AJ Dillon?
A
He
bitch.
called him a traffic cone.
Yeah, that's
A
pretty much.
traffic cone. That is like the least agile, slowest thing in the world. Like it's nothing, and that's a shitty thing to be compared to. So in this place, in this place where I'm at with my team, it's hard to go either way. I look at the quarterbacks here, and honestly, when it comes to my fantasy draft, and I get to this point in my head where I'm like, all of these players are just long shots. You know what I do, Austin? I run over here
You,
to this thing that says DEF, and
oh
I click on
no!
the 49ers because
You
why
just go
not?
ahead and pick it.
I mean, why not?
Just
Just go ahead
yeah, I
and get
don't
the
think
best defense in the league. I know you don't
Yeah, I
ever take
never.
defenses in the draft.
Yeah, I stream defenses all year long.
I know, and that's
That just
a stressor for you. That is such a stressor, and that's why you never win, cousin.
yeah,
I
I win
take.
all the damn. I win all the damn time, but
I
just
know, I know.
a couple receivers that I do like that I just want to mention. We're gonna cut the draft out right here, but I want to mention Joshua Palmer, which is who I thought you should take right there. Um, there was a report that came out today. I know it's early, but they're pretty much saying that Lad McConkey is going to be running the slot, and then DJ Chark and Joshua Palmer are going to be the outside receivers, leaving Quentin Johnston to suffer.
Yeah,
So, I mean,
but how many
things can
targets?
definitely change.
How many targets? How many touchdowns are going to be there? I mean,
You were just bragging about Justin Herbert earlier, so
and I was, but and you shat on him, and you're talking about the best second
we're in the
receiver.
14th round. I mean, Joshua Palmer
I
is
know.
maybe the number one receiver on the offense. I mean, I love Ladd, but there's still a chance that Joshua Palmer is still the guy. So I really like Joshua Palmer right here. And
No,
as far as running backs go, I'm done. I'm not
yeah,
drafting.
you
I'm
can't
not
get running
drafting
back
anymore.
here. There's no point.
So, a
No
couple late
point.
guys that I like. I like Dontavian Wicks. I like Jalen Polk, Darnell Mooney, Joshua Palmer. So I mean, that's really about it about the mock draft. As far as my team goes, I got the best team by far. Nobody even compares.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
Um, got AJ Brown, Kyron Williams, Derrick Henry, DK Metcalf, George Pickens, Kyler, Raheem Mostert, Jake Ferguson, Christian Watson, Gus Edwards, Rashid Shaheed, and Jacoby Myers. And we are only
Super solid team, bro.
Yeah, we have
That's
four
a
rounds
super solid
left,
team.
and two of them rounds are going to be filled with kicker and defense. So, like I said, I would take my shot on. I would draft Joshua Palmer here, and I would take a backup running back. I really like Ty Chandler
Yeah,
as a good handcuff that I like for very cheap, and Tyler Algier for a cheap running back. But other than
Kyle
that, and
Algier.
redraft, I think that's good.
This is your handcuff. Yeah, this is really your handcuff running back rounds. You can grab those handcuffs. I think Kendre Miller is probably the top handcuff running back, other than
I
Charbonnet. Yeah, no, I'll take that back. You're right. Charbonnet, Spear. There's a few of them
like Gorham.
for him. There's a few of them that are above him. It comes down to this tier. I think the guy you want to go with. Yeah, man. And I mean, you can grab. I mean, if you wanted to go, and a lot of times I have went quarterback non-existent and grabbed one this late. I mean, you still got Baker Mayfield, Will Levis, Geno Smith. I mean, these are
Would you
guys.
take the shot on Will Levis this late with the
I would.
Russian upside?
Yes, I would definitely take a shot on Will Levis right here. I mean, I feel like Will Levis is probably your best bet for upside quarterback in the
Yeah.
latest of rounds. I feel like that's a guy that you could really get some upside from. And if you went no quarterbacks or you wanted to grab a second one just to see, like you said, wait and see what happens. But I think, yeah, I think he's good. He's got Nuke with him. I mean, they got a pretty good offensive
Calvin
line
Ridley.
still. Calvin Ridley, and he's coming into his second year. He's got it. It's not
He's
learning
got
anymore.
weapons.
He's got weapons, and he's got the offense memorized, and now he just has to tweak it. He has to tweak it. So
Yeah.
I think he's probably the best of your late round quarterbacks. And if you're picking tight ends right here, I feel bad for you.
You're
Just
streaming. You're streaming the
stream it.
position if you're picking quarterback.
Just stream it. Yeah, man. So
I mean tight
and I
ends.
think
My
if
bad.
it comes to if I had to pick a receiver right here, I wouldn't. I don't know. Yeah, I'd probably go with Palmer. I haven't just like I said, I haven't done enough research into. I haven't heard enough about any of these guys back here, so I probably won't be picking the 49ers defense and the pull up round. But uh, I think it's an overall good draft, man. I like this team. I like to be running back heavy. I got two great receivers, and then some questionable. I mean, some guys that I think are super solid down the draft. I got a really good tight end. Brock Purdy, I think, is the best quarterback in the late rounds. He's with one of the best teams. I mean, you argue with Aaron Rodgers down there and Tua's down there. Like you said, I took him before Jordan Love. Those two are right on about the same with me. Yeah, it's hard to say, but it was fun. I like doing mock drafts with you, and we got to talk about a lot of stuff that need to be figured out. And when you get into these drafts, honestly, I think it comes down to what's going around you, and get the best value player, and then late in the drafts, get your guys.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about this a lot before the season starts, but it's just just kind of be fluid with the draft. Don't come in with an exact strategy like Ian was saying at the very beginning. I want to draft a hero receiver and then go RB, RB, RB. I don't think that's necessarily the way to go because, like, you ended up taking Cooper Kupp, in the third or fourth round, where you came in with a strategy, but when certain players fall, it's kind of like,
yeah,
it's hard to pass up on that, and that's why. I mean, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but like tier based drafting is the best way to draft. Like if you have a couple players in a tier and you're sitting at the turn, and you can get a player that's in that same tier coming back, I think that's the way to go. And just look at the teams around you, see what positions they got, and all that good stuff, and all that good jazz. But
all that jazz.
Call that jazz, but Ian, you got anything to say to the people tonight? I mean, I appreciate everybody for listening. 5-star review. First mock draft of the redraft season, which I enjoy immensely because I love redraft. I love Dynasty. I love fantasy football. Ian, what you got for the peeps?
Yeah, man, I just want to say, take what we got to say into consideration. None of this is a perfect science, but we have multiple championships between us. We know what we're talking about, okay, guys? And if you don't listen to us, you're fucking idiots. All right? Just have fun. At the end of the day, just have fun with it. I mean, if you want Tyreek Hill, get Tyreek Hill. If you want freaking Breece Hall, get Breece Hall. You know what? It's a fantasy team, and we do it because we love to. We're not on here trying to make money. We're on here because we just like talking about football.
We enjoy it.
And this is what we do on a normal basis. Every day we call each other and talk about football. This is just us recording it. So, and trying to be a little bit more professional and leave the F-bombs out as much as possible. So, just give us some information. Give us a 5-star like. Number one in your hearts. Number one on your jerseys. As in Sauce Gardner. But I don't know, man. Take it away, cousin. This is it.
Yeah, I just like everything Ian said, and just appreciate everybody for listening. And tell your friends, tell everybody about us, and pick the players you like. Fantasy's supposed to be fun, like Ian said. Don't get involved in all these statistics and making fantasy football like it's a spreadsheet. Watch the games, enjoy it, and we'll talk to y'all next time. But we out.
Yes. Before we go, I made this note. And I wanted to bring this up on the podcast tonight because James Conner was somebody that I was thinking about, and you were talking about the players you want to watch. And I think one of the reasons James Conner hasn't been up high in my heart is because he is no national. I don't get the eye test with James Conner. You don't get a very big sample size of watching James Conner play. One, I live in Georgia. They play in Arizona. The only time I see him is on Red Zone, and they're never in the Red Zone. So I don't get to see James Conner a lot. And so I feel like that's maybe one of the reasons I'm not so high on him. But either way, we're over. We're done. Thanks for listening. 5 stars. These boys are in it. We're going to win. Hope you do too.
All right. See y'all later. Peace.
Peace.